Radarious Jackson, one of 2 commits this past week for Tennessee football. In-state wide receiver, on threes, very high on him. The 80th player in the country, ranked nationally. 4-star in-state wide receiver, the second wide receiver from the Memphis area in this class of 2025, joining Joe Kip Dotson. Radarious Jackson trending hard, AP, the last week or so for Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, literally, felt like this one was, it felt like Tennessee was in the lead, but it felt like, he's not taking any visits. He'd only been to Ole Miss and Tennessee. He did go down to Alabama, but he hadn't really seen a whole lot of schools, and so it felt like this one was further away. But Radarious wanted to go ahead and get this thing done. A big get yesterday. A quiet kid, reserved kid, but he's a monster on the field, and legit 6'2.5", long arms, big hands. A kid that goes up high points to football extremely well, and is aggressive. As a receiver. So a big get for Kelsey Pope, big get for Josh Heupel. And I can promise you, as much as, they all love Caleb Cunningham and Jamie French and some of those guys, they viewed Radarious Jackson in that same level as those highly ranked guys. And so, the staff is extremely happy, as we said here on Tuesday, about getting Radarious Jackson, not only period, but in the boat this early specifically, Hubbard.
Yeah, and I think this is, again, a situation where I think Tennessee did an early eval on him, that they were not late to the party. Sometimes with an in-state player, that can cause you some issues. They were not late to the party here at all. His stock has only gone up with all the national guys. That's Charles Power and those guys around the country have seen more and more tape of him. His stock has gone up. Tennessee's been high on Radarious Jackson for a while now, and to be able to get that one done, I'm surprised it's done right now. Now, I didn't interview him when he was in Knoxville last time. I listened to it. I watched him and just kind of said, hey, and just passing by. I don't have the relationship with him that you have, AP. But I'm surprised that this one, I thought it would be done this summer, but I didn't think he would be done before the month of May got here. It's a credit to Tennessee and what they did with him over the course of the last, month or so with him to make him such a priority, make him feel like such a priority. They did a great job with him on this last unofficial visit, obviously.
It's because they're treating him like the Frenches and the Cunninghams, right? They're making him feel like he is that 5-star priority.
Well,
right, AP?
Yeah, 100%. And the best thing going for him is he's Darnell Wright. And what I mean by that is he's not like most kids who are old. He's young. He doesn't turn 17 until August. So a year from now, he'll be in fall camp at Tennessee when he turns 18. Like, this kid's got, when you start thinking about the GQ's the growth plates and all that stuff, he's got room to grow.
But physically, he's not done filling out. Maturity is your point. It's not necessarily about, okay, he's going to grow 5 more inches because his growth plates aren't closed and all that chatter. But from a physical maturity standpoint, there's a lot of room to grow physically from a strength standpoint because of where he's at age-wise. Yeah, much the same way it was with Darnell. Darnell was just a big body guy who was trying to play catch-up in his strength numbers, right? And obviously did, and ended up being a top 10 pick and had a great career. But, I think that it just means the ceiling's higher when you know that he's not the most mature. He's not completely matured out physically at this point.
That's right.
He won the Tennessee Titans Mr. Football Award this past year. 3A football here in the state of Tennessee, but 1,742 all-purpose yards, 27 total touchdowns, 7 interceptions on defense. Dude was getting it done for sure. So Radarious Jackson, and real quick, AP, you've got Dotson, who reaffirmed hey, he's a Tennessee guy a couple weeks ago. You now have Jackson. We've mentioned the big wide receiver board. We've already thrown out some Cunninghams and some Frenches and some other names. Where does another in-state guy like Cam Sparks kind of at right now? I know that you've mentioned in the last couple of weeks that, hey, he needs to stop fooling around a little bit if you want to get in the boat. Kind of where is he and with some other guys at the receiver position?
Well, he just took a visit this past weekend, and not to Tennessee. Listen, Cam's at his own pace. He's got to go at his own pace. And, if he ends up picking Tennessee, if they still have room, then Tennessee would obviously take Cam Sparks, but at the same time they're recruiting Derek Meadows, they're recruiting Caleb Cunningham, Jamie French, Travis Smith, Marcus Harris. You can go right down the line. Kelsey Pope has got a fairly wide ranging board from sea to shining sea, so to speak, and if they beat Cam Sparks to the punch, then the spot may not be there. But again, we'll see what kind of timeline Cam Sparks has. Over the next month or so.
AP, is this 3 or 4?
It's definitely 3. I think it's 4. I mean,
if it's the right one.
Yeah, because you got to remember, you're going to lose Brew, you're going to lose Dante Thornton, you're going to lose. There's one more, I think. And then you're naturally going to lose somebody to the transfer portal. Right? I mean, like right now we sit here on April 23rd. Like, nobody's leaving that room, and I just wonder, even if they play a bigger rotation this fall, where are things with
all those guys
on the fringe? Play a little bit, but not play enough. I mean, how many of them are like Elijah Herring, where, yeah, I'm playing, but I'm not playing as much as I'd like, and I just want to go play somewhere.
All right, so let me ask you this, too, at the receiver position before we wrap that up. Where are they with the Blackshear kid from over in Savannah?
Yeah, I mean, that Tennessee-Georgia battle, in my opinion. And you'd have to think Georgia's got a really good chance to pull in the kid from, Savannah. He likes Tennessee a lot, but, clearly, is not real close to committing based off of, his talk with Chad Simmons last week. So, that's another name, though, that, you have to think about when Tennessee's, working kids. And then I'll be interested to see kind of where Georgia goes with him, where they go with Travis Smith. Georgia's known as that tight end school. So, it works against them a little bit with receivers because they run the football so much. And when they do throw it, they throw it to tight ends. But, I think they'll become a more flashy name for receivers over the next year or two.
All right, so 9 commits for the class of 2025 now for Tennessee. Radarious Jackson highlighted the start of the week here on a Monday afternoon by jumping in the boat. And late last week, Tennessee got a commit from a safety in Sidney Walton. AP, tell us a little bit about Sidney Walton and kind of where that defensive backfield is now. With I think that makes 3 in this class.
Yeah, and so he's a safety. Kid's originally from Detroit, plays down at Moody in Alabama. Long kid, Tennessee, loved his tape. This is another eval kid that, they wanted to get in on. They were able to work him hard. He picks Tennessee over Ole Miss. And, again, I think a kid that's, physically got more room to grow, more room to fill out. But, there's certain things, that he has, you just can't teach. And so, rangy, and again, safety that Tim Banks liked a lot.